Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more history matters, and this time we are asking the question of why didn't Britain ever try to retake the United States? Short animated documentary. Before we get to the question, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. Would love to join the Discord. Follow me over Twitch. Please do go check, and please do go check out the two gaming channels here on YouTube. One is for edited content, and then the other is for the stream VODs. With that said, why didn't Britain ever try to retake the USA? I think ultimately it comes down to by the time of really when they likely could have, which you could argue 1812 maybe being a point in time in which they could have come back, because that was the next time and the only other time they were at war. I think one, they were dealing with Napoleon at the time still, so they're like, yeah, you're a side thing, we don't want to deal with you, so we'll just deal with you to the extent that we need to get you to stop, and then we'll focus keep all our focus, on Napoleon. Let's say Napoleon's not there, they just fight, they just go throw hands with each other. I think by the time, really, once the USA was independent, I think essentially it was no going back. It would have been just too difficult for the British to really maintain a hold on the United States, and also there was no economic reason to retake the United States, because the United States, upon peace being declared, they essentially start becoming the probably the largest importer of British goods outside of the colonies. Like, they essentially just returned to what the way things were. The United States mercantile class just didn't want to be restricted to only trading with the British. That's one of the large reasons as to why it happened. It was a war led by the mercantile elite, because the mercantile elite didn't like the British rules. So they wanted more freedom to trade with who they wanted to trade with. And of course, there are some other reasons, but really, I personally believe that to be the largest reason for the United States' revolt. But yeah, anyways, let's hear what History Matters has to say.
After the American Revolution and the birth of the United States, the British were somewhat unhappy, and many there never really got over the loss. So why was it then that over the next century the British never made any attempt to retake some or all of the United States? Why simply accept that it was gone forever? So in the immediate aftermath of American independence, Britain wasn't really in a rush to change anything. Well, the new government across the pond wasn't exactly a high-functioning one. Its new leaders couldn't agree on how
the plan, led by a governor, industrial economy. Jefferson is deported, agree. Strong government, national debt plan.
How the new country would operate, which meant that until new rules could be written, most of the old ones stayed in force. Meaning that there was a lot of money to be made without the cost of running the place, which was a bonus. Now, eventually, the US would draft its
Article 1, Section 8, Congress can regulate trade with other nations, meaning that new rules are in place. Thus, the Brits have to pay tariffs now. Fight us, Congress.
Constitution, which would then limit foreign trade. This wasn't a good enough reason to declare war, though, and Britain wasn't actually that worried about America's continued independence. You see, the prevailing belief in Parliament was that monarchy was the most natural form of government, and that as such, the new American Republic was doomed to failure. Throughout the Revolution and shortly afterwards, many American revolutionaries actually saw themselves as English, or at least close to it. And in London, the belief was that they'd soon learn the error of their ways and move to bring back a monarchy. And since there were no American nobles, they'd inevitably have to turn to Britain, and who better than King George? And from there, the slow but inevitable process of reincorporating America into the empire would begin. Now, obviously this never happened, but given Britain's own flirtation with republicanism in the 17th century, it wasn't an unreasonable belief. Now, shortly after the Constitution...
If you've managed to stay awake reading the previous pages, then congratulations. We all agree to this. Insider names: George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Manly Face, George Reed, James McHenry, John Blair, William Blount, John Rutledge, William Few, John Langdon, Nathaniel Gorham, William Johnson, William Livingston, Ben Franklin.
Was signed, France had itself a revolution, and between then and 1815 was in a constant state of war with Britain.
Hold on, did they have Avignon as separate from
France? Had its
That's a neat little detail.
Itself a revolution, and between then and 1815 was in a constant state of war with Britain. As such, the British had more pressing issues, which led to it impressing sailors sailing under the US flag. This led to the War of 1812, and it was the last time that Britain could have realistically retaken some of the United States.
I said that.
So, did it try? Well, yes.
Oh.
Lord Liverpool, the Prime Minister at the time, wasn't trying to conquer all of the United States, but he did want to expand Britain's holdings at the expense of the US. You see, the border between British America and the US wasn't really well defined, and the British wanted to bring the border to here and annex Maine and turn it into the colony of New Ireland. The British had occupied much of the area during the war, and so long as the rest of it went well, it was believed that the Americans would simply give it up. But during the peace negotiations, Britain never asked for a single inch of territory. So why not? Well, the first reason was that London's primary concern was the redrawing of the map in Europe to prevent future wars becoming Britain's problem. The primary concern was that France wouldn't accept the changes and that war would begin again. As such, it was decided that Britain would offer a return to pre-war everything, and the Americans agreed. In the decades and century after this, British attention was firmly focused on expanding in India and later Africa, as well as the looming confrontation with Russia in Central Asia. As such, North America took a back seat, and by the mid-19th century the US was far too great a power for the British to ever risk war without potentially losing Canada, and so they did nothing. And so the dream of reincorporating a single inch of American territory was dead forever. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Okay, and that was Why Didn't Britain Ever Try to Retake the United States? A short animated documentary about History Matters. This was a good video. Well, it was decent. I think it's par for the course of what I expect from History Matters. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't one of their better episodes. You know, it didn't really have too much, like, they didn't go that deep into this question. I feel like it felt very sort of kind of basic information that everyone's sort of aware of, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just a question that's been asked so many times so that I'm just subconsciously aware of what, like, the reasons why are. And so maybe that's why this did not hit for me, but still a good video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.